Welcome to the HohO Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airwaves and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
Broadcasting live from Weaponized Sloth Production Studio B. Welcome to the HohO Show, and as always, I'm your host, HohO. How y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. Man, sometimes that thing ticks down quicker than you expect it to, doesn't it? It really does. That cracked me up. It's like I heard the darn, and I'm like, oops. Yeah, so everything is up and going over there in WSPradio.com. I do have that up and going. And not only that, there is a live chat down in there as well. So if you head on over to WSPradio.com, of course, that is audio only. You can check out the live chat. You can participate in there. I don't know exactly how you're supposed to log into it. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't, because I am using Chat Roll, which is what I'm using for the live chat, and I can embed it, embed the chat over there on the website, which is really cool, and that's exactly what I did, actually. So, you can listen to it, participate in the chat, there you go. You can sign in as a guest, you can use Twitter, I believe, or X, I think it still is Twitter in there. You can use Facebook. You can use all kinds of stuff. So we do have quite a few things to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Trump with his sentencing and some of the things that he has talked about with what he wants to do. That stuff's going to be interesting. We're going to be talking about the LA fires. We're going to be talking about Biden and some of the stuff that he has talked about. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the preemptive pardons that he's wanting to do. We're also going to be talking about Meta and the new direction that they are going with censorship and, that stuff. But first, we are going to talk about this article from Counterpunch. Now, you guys know how I like to start the show, but I'm not going to do that at this particular point in time because first we want to talk about this. The headline is, "Welcome to 2025, where your freedoms go to die." Now, this article is from John W. Whitehead and Nisha Whitehead. All right. And, there's a few things in here that I want to talk about. Well, primarily I want to talk about AI. Because that one is going to be it's going to be the big thing. AI. The direction of AI, how AI is used, and primarily who is going to control AI. That is where the real question lies. Who's going to be controlling AI? Let me get off there. Now, there's some things in here that it goes through. Talks about digital prisons with using a digital ID system. Pre-crime, something straight out of Hollywood with, the movie by, that has Tom Cruise in it. What was the name of that movie? Talking about pre-crime. Minority Report, I believe. Yes. Mandatory quarantines, mental health assessments by non-medical personnel, tracking chips for citizens, something that we're, that's already being used on animals. Tracking chips for, I already said that. Military involvement domestically, which I don't even know how they would be able to do that, considering you got posse comitatus. The military is not supposed to be operational within the borders. We'll see just how well that one goes. Threat assessments, war on cash, which we're kind of, we are a digital currency type of people, not necessarily cryptocurrency, but, digital currency. We don't use cold hard cash quite as much anymore. Expansive surveillance, which, let's face it, surveillance is something that is huge in this country. It really is. Now, granted, some places is far worse than others, depending on where you're at. But surveillance is like, holy crap. You can't go, for the most part, especially whenever you're talking about major cities. You can't go anywhere without being recorded on camera in some way, shape, or form. Whether it be a private thing or whether it be a public thing. It's really hard to navigate without being caught on surveillance. And that's one of the things they're talking about whenever they're talking about, with the digital ID, tracking where you're at, using digital ID to gain access to this, that, and the other. That's one of the things that they're talking about is with surveillance, something that is huge in today's day and age. And I tell you what, I don't know how I feel about it. I just don't, because when you're talking about in the public arena, you have no, right to privacy. When you're talking the public arena, if you're on the public square, you have no right to privacy whatsoever. You just don't, in some places, well, I think a lot of places really, they don't have any laws protecting you from being recorded. It's a single, what's the word I'm thinking of? To where you got to let the, every party involved know that they're being recorded and get, consent, single person consent, that, that type of thing. And in which case I pretty much agree with that. When you're in the public arena, you shouldn't have any, guarantee of privacy or in the public space. However, when you are in private space, you should absolutely have that guarantee of privacy. You should, but whenever you have, with smartphones, with, things like Alexa, with things like, all these other various things, how many of us are actually safe in our own home from some type of surveillance? It's a question. Militarized police is another thing in here. False flags and terrorist attacks, endless wars to keep America's military. And hello, Edward, over there in Facebook land. He says, our TV does surveillance now, brother. Yes. Phones too, absolutely. Anything with microprocessor. Yeah, you're right. Everything does surveillance right now. They're, you look at the, you look at the terms of service agreement whenever you download an app like Facebook, like any of these other ones. A lot of the things that it puts in there are surveillance type things. The ability for that app to use your camera, to use the microphone, and it even warns you whenever you are agreeing to this, that it can use your microphone or camera with or without your expressed permission. That's video surveillance. That's audio surveillance. They keep track of what it is you're doing. And I don't know about you, but me personally, whenever I have had conversations about something with my friends, with my phone in reach, the next time I go on Facebook or use some other type of social media platform, that I've had an ad pop up of the very thing that I just got done talking about with a buddy of mine. I've had that happen to me. So you can't tell me that you're not being monitored. You can't tell me that you're not being recorded. You can't tell me that they're not keeping track, in which case that, personally, I think is a huge violation of privacy. If I'm not using their app, if I'm not giving them the express permission to, record my audio, record using my camera, then they shouldn't be doing that at all. I think that is a gross violation of privacy, regardless of where I'm at. If I'm in the public arena or the private arena, they shouldn't be doing it, period. And you're never going to convince me otherwise. Erosion of private property is another thing in here that it talks about. And here's the thing, ladies and gents, let me tell you something, okay? You don't. Okay, your home, your house, your dwelling, okay? Assuming you're not paying a mortgage, because that doesn't even matter, okay? Because, either you're renting or, most people, you're paying a mortgage. I know I am. But regardless of whether you're paying a mortgage, renting, owning, whatever, it doesn't even matter. But let's just assume you own. And who cares whether you're paying a mortgage or not? You don't own your property. You don't. You may think you do, but you don't. They've eroded that aspect of personal property a long time ago. And think about it. You have to pay property tax on your house forever and always until the day you die, and then your family member or whomever gets that property has to pay property taxes. You are leasing your land, your home from government. It does not belong to you. That is why I am completely and utterly against property tax. It shouldn't be there. You shouldn't have to lease your property from government. You don't pay your property taxes, what happens? The government shows up. They lock you out of your home. And then they sell your house to somebody whom will pay. And if they don't, well, then they'll seize it again. You don't own your home. You're leasing it from government. They've already eroded private property. They already have. And that's what they want. They don't want you actually owning anything. They don't want you to have pride in anything. They want you to be completely dependent upon government. Overcriminalization is another thing on here. And yes, you're right. He says eminent domain also. Yeah, you're right. The government has the ability, for whatever reason they deem necessary, to go in and just take your property. Now, I mean, granted, they're supposed to give you what they consider to be, fair price. But there's, technically speaking, nothing in there that says what that fair price could be. I mean, let's face it. What just happened to Trump? You just had some jackass judge claim that Mar-a-Lago was only worth $18 million when it is clearly worth over $1 billion. And, if the government, went in there and decided they were going to take it for eminent domain purposes, is that they wanted to put something there, then, they would have used whatever dollar amount they wanted to. If that stupid, stinking judge was in charge of it, Trump would have only gotten $18 million out of that property. It's a complete joke. But yeah, eminent domain. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Absolutely right. Strip searches and the denigration of bodily integrity. Okay. So, that's one of the things, just kind of a slight side note on here. You know, in most places out there, and I know, where I live is like this, and I'm sure where you live is like this, certain days of the week, certain, you know, um, special occasions arise. Where you're at may do DUI checkpoints. Those are unconstitutional because it is, guilty until proven innocent. They have no reason to pull you over. They have no reason to give you a breathalyzer. They have no reason to question you. You've given them no cause whatsoever. DUI checkpoints are unconstitutional, but yet they get away with it. It's an overreach. It really is. But yet they do it, something that they've been doing for quite some time. Censorship is another one in here. Taxation without any real representation. Yeah, absolutely. But, there's one thing of why I bring up this article. And again, the headline is, Welcome to 2025, where your freedoms go to die. But the thing I was really wanting to talk about with this, which they kind of gloss over in a few different areas, a few different aspects, especially when they talk about pre-crime and some of the other things of that nature, but that is AI. And the direction of artificial intelligence, more so, who's going to control AI? That's the question. I've seen articles out there where people have talked to, private developers of AI, and they've basically told them, don't even get involved in it. Don't even do it. It doesn't matter because the government's going to come in and they're going to take it. There's not going to be any such thing as privately owned, privately controlled AI. It's going to be government controlled. Period. End of story. Because the biggest thing that the left is afraid of. Okay, look. They want to control the flow of information and ideas. There's no secret to it. That's exactly what they wanted. That's what they want. Period. End of story. They want to control the flow of information and ideas. They do not want, private, journalists. They don't want any of that kind of thing. They don't want it. They don't want to allow it. That's why censorship is such a big deal to them. That's why AI is such a big deal to them, because they do not want. Okay, look, you want to know what they're afraid of, what the left is afraid of whenever it comes to AI? They're afraid that AI is going to tell you the truth. What a dangerous concept, right? They are afraid that AI is going to tell you the truth. They're afraid that AI is going to tell you that, yes, they are responsible for this. Yes, they are responsible for that. That they're afraid that AI is going to tell you the truth, and they're not going to be able to control the flow of information and ideas. That's what they're afraid of. Not that long ago, I heard somebody say that, China, Russian AI will never be able to compete with American AI because America has a far more vast flow of information and ideas that the AI will be able to get the information from, and in which case, really, does it? Because, AI looks at social media. AI looks at, things, search engines like Google and the sort, and of which case, do they really have that much more of a, does American AI have that much farther reach whenever it comes to gathering information or ideas? Is it really going to be beneficial to American AI? And granted, I understand what it is they're talking about because they are specifically training their AI in China and Russia to where it can only get information from certain sources, and that's it. So whenever you limit where AI can get information from, you are limiting what it is that it can do. You're limiting, just the depth of information that it can get. It's kind of like the difference between, I don't want to say a stick figure, in art. Okay, art is amazing. It really is. I'm a fan of art. I have been for quite some time. Art is absolutely amazing. But when you're talking art, and not necessarily photography so much, but, which, can be and very much is an art form. But when you're talking art in general, one of the biggest things that separates, a true artist from a novice, from a beginner, is depth, shadowing, the use of different colors. That's what really separates it. Depth. Is kind of an aspect of when you're a kid, you think of good and evil as something that is just a line separating the two. As you get older, you really start seeing more shades of gray, and it's not as simple, as clear cut as what you used to think. And whenever you narrow the scope of the places that AI can go, it's going to have a very childlike view of this, that, and the other. If the only place it can get its information from is government-controlled space, then everything the AI is going to say is going to be in favor of government. Well, that's the same thing that we're, in trouble of doing here. Because whenever you go to, social media, for the most part, and this is how it's been, the government can say, don't get your information from True Social because it is a freedom of speech platform. Don't get your information from X because it is a free speech platform. Don't get your information from Rumble because it's a free speech platform. Don't get your information from there. Only get your information from sources that we deem truth, right. That's where the fear is. Whoever is in control of AI is truly going to be in control of the flow of information and ideas. Granted, AI can be a huge tool for all kinds of things. It can be a huge tool in, programming. It can be a huge tool in, in pictures and, auditory things, and there's a fear whenever it comes to AI. But it can be an amazing tool. Don't get me wrong. But there's also danger involved in it. Very much. And I don't even mean with the aspect of, people's jobs being eliminated because of AI, with writers and, voice artists and other things of that nature. Because, yeah, that's definitely a thing. There's a lot of, wow, that is definitely a thing. But just in the aspect of the flow of information and ideas. AI could change the landscape of a lot of things. In the future, dude, we're going to rely on AI. Right now, it's getting huge. It's getting used. It's becoming widespread. A lot of people are doing a lot of different things that they would have never been able to do before, only because of AI. AI is awesome that way. But there's also dangers. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when I return, speaking of the free flow of information and ideas, we're going to be talking about Meta and what Zuckerberg has said about censorship in Meta. That's what we're going to be talking about here in just a couple minutes. Don't go nowhere. I'll be right back.
Alarm clock rings like a wild hurricane. Eyes half open, I'm feeling the strain. Stumble out of bed, it's another new day. What's my routine? What's the best way? First the shirt, then button, button it tight. Mirror reflection looking just right. Should I go sock, sock, shoe, shoe now? Or break the rules and mix it up somehow? Do you do sock, sock, shoe, shoe? Or sock, shoe too? Does it matter in the morning light? When your day's gonna be alright? Do you do sock, sock, shoe, shoe? Or sock, shoe too? Does it matter in the morning light? When your day's gonna be alright? Jeans or skirt, what mood am I in? Coffee brewing, let the day begin. Brush my teeth, yeah, I start to grin. Choices we make, let the fun spin. It's the little things that brighten up your day, the quirks and routines in a special way. Whether you choose to go left or right, it all comes down to feeling just right. Do you do sock, sock, shoe, shoe? Or sock, shoe too? Doesn't matter in the morning light, when your day's gonna be alright. Do you do sock, sock, shoe, shoe? Or sock, shoe too? Does it matter in the morning light, when your day's gonna be alright?
Do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. All right, and we are back. So this segment we're to be talking about, hold on. Speaking of AI, yes, the songs that I use in the show and also over on WSPradio.com is AI generated stuff, thinking about it. And yes, that song is an absolutely ridiculous one. Sock, sock, shoe, shoe. I think it's absolutely hilarious. The stupid ideas that come to my head that I'm like, oh, let's do a song about that. Let's see what happens. And a lot of the times what it does is absolutely hilarious. I've had fun with it. I really have. Anyway, let's get into this. This headline from the Daily Signal talking about censorship, talking about the free flow of information and ideas. This headline, the age of censorship is ending. That headline from the Daily Signal. And of course, we are talking about Mark Zuckerberg announcing that Facebook would now be revising its censorship policies to accord with his older vision of free speech. And, I, along with a lot of other people, am skeptical about this. I really am. The article says, well, he announced that they're moving away from fact checkers. And they're going to move their fact checker facility down, moving it away from California and moving it down to Texas, which is a good start. But, that also depends on where they plan on putting it, because there are areas that are more red than others and some that are definitely more blue than others. So, that may depend on where they end up putting the facility at as to whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But they are moving away from the fact checkers to a more crowdsourced type of thing, community notes, a lot like what X is doing right now. And again, I think we should all be very skeptical about this. Now, I will tell you, based off of some of the people that I know in the conservative space, things seem better. The algorithm seems better than what it used to be. There's already been some changes in the algorithm which is a good thing. However, we should always be skeptical about what these people say. Now, this is this kind of goes back to a conversation I had with Dave Canyon a while back ago, 3, maybe 4 weeks ago. I'm not exactly sure, but he called the show and we were talking about this very thing with Mark Zuckerberg. We were talking about, the censorship and, all the things that the collusion that was done between the government and social media platforms like Facebook, in with the shutting down of information and canceling and, banning people whom dared to speak out and speak the truth, with masks and with, the vaccine and with, other things of that nature. They had a hand in it. They linked arms with government and they censored information and ideas. Now, and I remember during the conversation with Dave, I talked about that I don't think that Zuckerberg was an innocent bystander in this, whether or not he was definitely approached, there's no arguing that one. But how eager was he to do what the government told him to do? I don't know. I think he was a willing participant. That's my thoughts on it. I don't know. I can't back up that claim. But I think he was a willing participant. And I don't know how pure this move is that Zuckerberg is taking, the new direction that he's taking Meta in. I don't know how pure this is. I have no idea. I really don't. It's impossible to tell. But one of the things that is kind of clear is that Meta is, granted, don't get me wrong, Facebook is like the front runner whenever it comes to social media. They are the big hitter. They are the leader. They are the ones that are, they're it. I don't want to say they're it. They're not, it's not like they're the only ones out there, but they are the biggest ones. They're the biggest ones. The usership, the traffic that gets pushed through there, everything, it is huge. There's no denying that they are the top dog on social media. Don't get me wrong. However, especially with the change that we have seen over on Twitter, because Twitter under Dorsey was all about, the controlling the flow of information and ideas. Under the tutelage of Elon Musk, it has rebranded into X and is now a free speech platform. And X is kicking Facebook's ass. Because you've got 50% of the population whom has stepped away from X. Or I'm sorry, not from X. Wow. That has stepped away from Facebook. Because it is not a free, or at least in the past, has not operated as a free speech platform. They censor. They control the free flow of information and ideas. This is what they have done. They've been doing this for some time. There's no arguing it. There's no denying it. That's how they do it. That's how they operate. Period. End of story. And because places like X, True Social, Rumble, being free, supporters of free speech, those that don't support that are starting to get their ass kicked. Their numbers are dwindling, not necessarily in, people whom are on, but people whom use Facebook. Even people whom, are big into social media and still may even have a Facebook account, they don't use it because they know that the things that they say, the things that they talk about, the videos that they have are going to be shadow banned, is at risk of being blocked, taken down, shut down, because they do not operate with freedom of speech in mind. So, I mean, I don't know whether Mark Zuckerberg is doing this for pure intentions. I really have absolutely no idea. And, you know, I mean, there's no way to tell. I mean, only Mark Zuckerberg knows what Mark Zuckerberg is thinking and the reason why he decided to make this change. But time will tell whether he's actually going to do it. You know, the follow through is going to be huge. You know, and I mean, like I said earlier, granted, people in the space, in the conservative arena, has already seen a change in the algorithm. That is true. You know, but how deep is this going to go? Are they actually going to change their direction? Are they going to allow more the free flow of information and ideas? Are they going to go by way of X, how Elon Musk has been operating and changing the direction of X? Or are they going to slide back into their old ways? And I mean, here's one of the things that I remember him saying a while back ago was that, you know, this is after he was called out for, you know, him being in bed with government about stopping the flow of information with the laptop, with, you know, with the masks and, you know, the vaccine and some of the things that doctors were saying and how they perpetrated all of that. You know, that one of the things that he said was we are no longer going to be subservient under the finger control of government. And whenever he said that, it was already at a point where it was pretty clear, you know, outside the scope of, you know, possible cheating going on, that Donald Trump was going to be the next president, of which case my first and immediate thought was, yeah, of course, they're not going to follow the, you know, or be under the control of the new administration, because a new administration is, you know, Republican, MAGA-controlled administration, and Meta doesn't want to be under the thumb of a Republican president, let alone under the control of Trump. So yeah, of course he's going to say that we're not going to be under the thumb of government. But here you're seeing a change already in the algorithm. You're seeing a change in, you know, the direction of Meta, of Facebook. Is it going to be a lasting change? Are they doing this to save face? Does Mark Zuckerberg actually believe in free speech? I don't know. Time will tell. And I really hope they do. I really hope they do. Because, you know, here's the thing, and I've talked about this before. I've spoken of it several different times before in the past. I really have. And that's the 230, Section 230. You see, when it comes to the flow of information and ideas, there's two different things you got to look at. All right. There's two different sources, I guess you can say. There's publications and there's platforms. That's the two different ways, two different methods. Okay. When you're talking to publication, you have editors, you have writers, you have, you know, journalists, you have, you know, whatever. Okay. You have authors. These are publications. And these publicists, they control the flow of information and ideas. They control who are able to put articles on their site. You know, they have editors, editorial boards, you know, what have you. They control the flow of information and ideas. Places like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Washington Times, Maxim Magazine, Time Magazine, you know, all these various places, newspapers, the same type of thing. They control what articles make it in their newspaper, in their magazine, on their website. That's the job of a publicist. They choose what makes the cut and what doesn't. Even with editorials, they choose what makes the cut and what doesn't. They choose the flow of information and ideas. And because they make that choice, they are held liable for the information that is on there. They are legally liable for the information and ideas. So if something makes it on their website that is a lie, that is a defamation of character, that is, whatever, what have you, that they can be sued and be punished financially, what have you. Now, when it comes to a platform, it's a little different. A platform is like a public messaging board. I remember in my youth, there was a grocery store that had, as soon as you walked into the door, they had a message board right there in the entryway, to where people could put, flyers up advertising this, that, and the other. It was a public board. No, I mean, granted, if they were promoting something, illegal, then yes, it would have been taken down. And, I'm sure that if it was something that was promoting, let's say, an orgy, that they would probably take that down too, because you got to take, kids and everything else into consideration. So, you have censorship and you have, the flat removal of different things. And in which case, yes, in a public message board, yeah, I agree with that. There's probably some things that we shouldn't advertise on there, right? But when you're talking a digital message board, you can put certain things, you can safeguard certain information. Now, granted, I don't think you should at all in any way, shape, or form promote illegal activity, crimes. Yes, that is a very safe thing to censor, to block, to get rid of. But whenever it comes to other things, there's safeguards you can put in place, a lot like YouTube does. You can put in there in YouTube that no, this isn't meant for kids, and an age restriction of the content that you publish, and of which case, yeah, you should have them type of safeguards in place. Maybe not completely get rid of it, but at least make it to where you can't see certain things if you are restricted in some way, shape, or form. These are safeguards that you can already put in place and implement. And why the heck aren't we doing that? But whenever it comes to other things, the free flow of information and ideas should be something that we value. Something that we demand from a platform, especially whenever you take into consideration that a platform, places like X, True Social, Instagram, Facebook, they are not held legally accountable for the information and ideas that are spread, that are posted on their sites. They're a platform. They're not held responsible. Why? Because they don't control the flow of information and ideas, or so they would like us to think. In the past, under the tutelage of, Dorsey, yeah, Twitter operated as a publication, still having the protection from liability, but they acted as a publication. You have Facebook that acts as a publication, or at least did in the past, and who knows about the future, but they act as a publication, controlling the information, the flow of ideas and information, but they benefited from being called a platform. And I said a long time ago, what we need to do is hold these various places, these various companies, these various platforms accountable. Who cares if you call yourself a platform if you act like a publicist? You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't call yourself a free speech platform. You can't call yourself a platform in general and still operate as a publicist. You can't do that. But yeah, it was allowed. They censored, they blocked, they removed information, they took down posts, they didn't allow the free flow of information and ideas. I was against that from day one. That you wouldn't have to do certain things if you just enforced the law as it was written. If you're a publicist, cool, act like it. If you're a platform, awesome, act like it. But you shouldn't be able to be a publicist and still, or I'm sorry, you shouldn't be able to claim and have, protections against liability as a platform and operate as a publicist. That's something that I've spoken out against in the past, numerous times. A huge way to actually stop some of the activity and behavior if they would have enforced it a long time ago. But finally, and this is good news, and again, assuming they actually follow through with this, assuming that, that they're actually going to do it, change the way that they fact check, that community notes, this is an awesome move. And this is something that is definitely a positive for free speech advocates, for conservatism. This is huge. And I mean, I never quite understood the want and desire of different companies like Facebook to limit free speech. Now here's the thing, man, okay? And this holds true for a lot of different avenues, okay? Whenever it comes to prices and price control, price gouging, if you will, whenever it comes to all kinds of things. Like, it's something that it only takes one, right? True Social was big. And I I tell you what, man, I laughed about it because it was like True Social, the first platform that True Social was on, or not really platform that True Social was on, but the first place that True Social was offered as an app was in the Apple Store. And it's like, dude, Trump, why would you pick Apple? Because, Apple is like, dude, man, really? If you're a free speech type of a person, if you really want that to go out and be more, more accepted by people, why wouldn't you have released it on Google in the Google Play Store first? That made no sense to me why you would actually go to Apple first. Holy crap, man. Are you kidding me? I was floored by that. I really was. It's a difference between how people, whatever. I was floored. I was like, are you kidding me? That made no sense whatsoever. Made no sense to me whatsoever. But it only takes one, right? It only takes one. I remember back in the day, whenever I was younger, dude, I remember gas prices going over $1. Okay. And people being mad about it. Now, what do we see in gas prices? But back in the day, we used to have what is called gas wars. And still in some places, you still have those, but that's where, you get one gas station lowering the price a few cents, taking business away from other gas stations. And then they have to, at other places, they got to lower the price. And then you got to lower the price even further to get more business. Then you got to lower the price even more. You got to lower the price even more. That's how things are done. That's competition. That's free market capitalism. You don't really see gas wars like you used to, but the point is, it only takes one. And when we had True Social become available as an app on your phone, we've seen a change. When we seen Elon Musk change the direction of Twitter, rebrand it into X, they changed the game. It only took one to start it. That's the glory of free market capitalism. It only takes one. The market will correct itself. The market knows what the market wants, right? You don't have to have government tell you what you want. It only takes one. But the problem is, far too often in far too many industries, what you have is red tape. What you have is price fixation. And that plays a part in so many different areas to where, okay, look, when it comes to healthcare, I have not seen in my lifetime, I'm 46 years old, I have not seen free market capitalism in the industry of healthcare. I've not seen it. It's never been present in my lifetime. Free market capitalism is the way to go. The market will fix itself. It will. So back to this. Mark Zuckerberg announcing that Facebook will now be revising its censorship policies to accord with his older vision of free speech. Okay. Eliminating censorship fact checkers, moving the fact checkers from California down to Texas, and using more of what X uses, which is a community post or community notes, as they call it. If they actually do this, that is amazing, and that is a huge win for conservatism, for Republicans. You know, there's this article over here on Wired. Meta follows Elon Musk's lead, moves staffers to billionaire-friendly Texas. I'm trying to read his shirt on here. I have no idea what that says. Too many wrinkles in the wrong places. But anyway, that's that article from Wired. And let's see, there's this other article from Fox News. Conservatives rejoice over jaw-dropping Meta censorship announcement. Huge win for free speech. I done said that. And this article from Red State. Got a frog in my throat. This is ridiculous. That's why I keep a drink right next to me. Yes, it is. But the article from Red State, Zuckerberg, Biden admin screamed, cursed, and acted threateningly when Meta refused censorship demands. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And this headline from NBC News, Biden calls Meta's decision to end fact-checking really shameful. And of course, the left would have that type of mind frame whenever it comes to censorship. Because again, as I've already stated, they want to be in control of the flow of information and ideas. I'm going to remind you of something. This last election that we had was unique. The first time in American history where legacy news wasn't in control of the flow of information. Period. In the past, it's always been legacy news. And legacy news today is just nothing more than, state-sponsored, propagandist. That's what they are. 80+% of all anchors and news broadcasters are, they support Democrats. Yeah. Some places over 95% support Democrats. Are you really going to tell me that these places aren't biased in the information that they throw out there? Are they focused on the when, the where, the what, the why, the how, or are they all about the narrative? As Dan Bongino says it's about a story, not the story. That's what most of these people are about. That's the way it's been. And this is the first time in American history that the election was not controlled by, or at least the flow of information and ideas was not controlled by the left, not controlled by legacy media, legacy news. This is the first time in American history this has been true. Because you've had places like Rumble, free speech. Because you had places like True Social, free speech. Because you had places like X, free speech. And because you had podcasters where, Trump made relevant, legacy media was no longer in control of the flow of information and ideas. The first time in history this has ever been true. So this move by Zuckerberg, watch. Pay attention. It's a good start. It really is. I don't know how far it's going to go. I don't know if this is just going to be a show to try to gain support and to quit purging people and actually bring people to use Facebook again. I don't know. But either way, it's a good start. But keep an eye out, pay attention, and be your own judge on whether this move is a positive move or whether this move is not a positive move. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When I return, we're going to be talking about some stuff regarding Biden, some of the stuff that he has been doing, primarily going to be talking about the preemptive pardons. This is going to be interesting. Yes, it is. Just a couple minutes and I will be right back.
Oscar walked these dusty trails with a stride so full of pride. A man built tough from head to toe, nothing he had to hide. Below his knee he'd had some strife, a leg not of his own, but every step he took in life, you'd never see him moan. Leather boots and iron will, his spirits never flag. O'er fields and farms he'd till the ground, beside an old plow's drag. Folks would whisper on the street, how does he stand so tall? But Oscar just grinned ear to ear, I'm stronger than you all. Oscar's boots keep moving on, no matter what comes down. Through the night so dark and cold, or the sun-baked golden ground. He's got a heart of solid bronze, and a mind that's sharp and vast. Oscar shows us every day, the future's not the past. He drove an old Ford pickup truck, rusty but it ran, hauling every load and dream, this mighty simple man. Kids would gather around his feet just to hear him talk about the days he fought and won, the life within his walk. His leg don't slow his spirit down, can't keep a good man still. Every morning up at dawn, plowing through sheer will. Worn out jeans and calloused hands, an emblem of pure grit. Oscar's story traveled far, a fire that never quit. Oscar's boots keep moving on, no matter what comes down. Through the night so dark and cold, or the sun-baked golden ground. He's got a heart of solid bronze, and a mind that's sharp and vast. Oscar shows us every day, the future's not the past. The future's not the past.
Have you ever sat down on your throne just to find out that you are dangerously low on shift tickets, making it to where you have to make a mad dash to the store just to pick yourself up some? If this has ever happened to you, pick up the #1 most rated toilet paper found in Uranus and use what the professionals use. Angel Soft. See, I'm just not a fan of some toilet paper. Some of them it's like putting a pillow between your nice rosy. Others, like John Wayne toilet paper, it's like using sandpaper. But do what the professionals use. Use the type of toilet paper that is the Goldilocks of brands, Angel Soft. Available wherever toilet paper is sold. All right, and we are back. This segment, we're going to be talking about Biden. Yeah. A couple claims. Well, at least a claim that he made, which was absolutely hilarious. And I'm also wanting to talk about something else that, he has been vocal about wanting to do, and that is preemptive pardons. We're going to be talking about that as well. But this headline... Ranger Danger. Hello, sir, over there in YouTube land. He says, HoHO, what's up? So, yeah. This headline from New York Post. The week in Whoppers. President Biden claims he tried to fix the border. Oh, hello, Zach. How are you, sir? Yeah, he says, it's Zach. Awesome. But he tried to fix the border, LA anchor, flubs, wildfire, water debunk, and more. I thought that was absolutely hilarious because he says he tried, he tried to fix the border. And that's hilarious to me. Isn't it hilarious to you? That is absolutely hilarious to me. He tried to fix the border. Okay. I think we all know that is bravo Sierra. I think every single one of us knows that, because what was the first thing that Biden did whenever he got into office? He got rid of every single executive order that was keeping, people from crossing the border, the stay in Mexico policy, the things that Trump did that was actually having positive impact on the flow of illegals across the border. He got rid of every single one of them. He changed a butt ton of stuff, and everybody knew that it was going to happen, which is why we've seen a huge uptick in crossings, huge flow of people coming up from the southern border right whenever he took office. We've seen it. He tried to fix the border. Laughable. He's not tried to fix the border at all. And he's been talking recently, again, this is coming up again. He is putting serious consideration into doing preemptive pardons for people. Now, look, this is something, okay, now we talked about this in the past with the preemptive pardons. We've talked about, him pardoning Hunter Biden, not just for, the charge that he was found guilty of, but he backdated his pardon for any crime that, Hunter may have committed going back to 2014. It's like, holy crap, why would you do that? But here's the thing. The question has been coming out. The question has been posed. Is this a violation of the pardoning power? Is this something that's even acceptable? Is this something that he can even do? And we talked about different ways in the past how the pardoning power has been used. And the case in point that is more like what is going on, I would have to say, was the pardon of former President Nixon, because he was pardoned for, Watergate. And at the time, he was, he was impeached for it, but he wasn't removed from office, and he chose to step down. He resigned before he can be removed from office. And whenever the next president took office, he pardoned Nixon for his involvement. And at the time, Nixon had not been charged with nor found guilty of, but he was pardon for it. But even still, without having the charge, without being charged of anything, the accusation was still there. He was still pardoned for a specific crime. He wasn't pardoned for something he might have done. He was pardoned for something that he was impeached for. So there was still a crime that was associated with the pardon. It wasn't just a blanket pardon. There was a specific crime that was put in there. But what did Biden do? It was a blanket pardon, covering anything that his son Hunter may have done over the course of 11 years. Is that a violation of what he is legally allowed to do? It really looks like it, because there's no crime associated with the pardon. Now, I mean, granted, this pardon isn't just a blanket pardon for every single crime, because it can only be a pardon for federal crime, not a pardon of state crimes. That's an important note. This headline from Fox News. Biden's HHS secretary warns against implications of preemptive pardon for Fauci and others. Let me throw this one at you. President Trump was just convicted of 34 felonies, which they weren't felonies. But he was convicted in a state. He was convicted in New York State. New York State had no jurisdiction to try the crimes that they tried Trump for, because it was election interference. That's what they claimed it was election interference. And they were crimes that were past the, what's that word? Good grief. Statute of limitations. Okay. Past the statute of limitations. They were federal crimes that they charged President Trump with, and it was past the statute of limitations, meaning that they shouldn't have been on multiple fronts. They shouldn't have been able to do what it is that they did. But here's my thing. Come January 20th, just a mere 9 days away, Trump takes office as the president again. With this being a federal crime, can Trump pardon himself for these felonies that he was found guilty of in New York State? Because these were federal crimes. The state had no jurisdiction to go after Trump for these crimes, but yet they did anyway. But that doesn't change the fact that these are federal crimes. The president can pardon somebody for breaking federal law. Can President Trump pardon himself? That is an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that question. I really don't. And it's a question that I've really not heard anybody else talk about, surprisingly enough. But yeah, I mean, these crimes that President Trump was charged with, found guilty of, that were past the statute of limitations, none of them were felonies in any way, shape, or form. They were elevated to that point. Why? Because they wanted something to throw at him. New York changed the law just so they can go after Trump. Period. End of story. That's what they did. Yesterday, they did the sentencing for Trump. No prison time, which would have been laughable. But still, his first order of business could be pardoning himself for the federal crimes that he was tried for in a state court. That, to me, is laughable. I would love to see him actually do that. But back to my point, okay? Back to this headline from Fox News. You know, Biden's HHS secretary warns against implications of preemptive pardon for Fauci and others. You know, he's talking about, pardons for, Fauci, for Liz Cheney, for other people. And this is why I bring this up. Okay, Fauci. All right, look. They had to make crimes up. They had to violate the law in order to go after Trump. They had to do things that were illegal in order to try Trump. They had to violate the statute of limitations. They had to, violate the Constitution. They had to, use federal crime in order to go after him in a state. This is what they had to do in order to go after Trump. They had to make things up to go after Trump. The right don't have to make anything up to go after people on the left. Fauci. It has come out, it has been made public that, yes, the COVIDs was a lab leak. Gain of function research was done that was paid for by you and me, by U.S. taxpayers. We paid for this. That's a crime. That is illegal. We are not supposed to be doing gain of function research, let alone in a foreign nation. We're not supposed to be doing it, period. And yet your tax dollars paid for it. Fauci was the one who transferred these funds, who made this possible. Fauci broke the law, a federal crime. Fauci broke it. Are you telling me that he shouldn't be held accountable for his actions? You're not going to stop bad behavior if you don't punish bad behavior. He should be held to account for breaking the law. And I'm not even talking about lying to the American people about masks, about social distancing, for closing down the schools and doing irreparable harm to our children for the past 2 years. I'm only talking about his involvement with spending American tax dollars in China for gain of function research. That is illegal. He broke the law. Period. End of story. He should be held to account. He has not been charged with jack, with diddly, or with squat. There is no crime on the books, but he committed a crime. Does Biden have the ability to pardon somebody for a crime they have yet to be convicted of? Is this what our founding fathers had in mind when they made the pardon power and gave it to the executive branch, gave it to the President of the United States of America? And before you even answer that question, just know that the answer is no. He's talking about pardoning Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney committed a crime. She went behind the lawyer's back to talk to a witness. That is clear witness tampering. That is illegal. The destruction of evidence in the J6, in the J6 fact-finding mission that they have, that is illegal. Destroying evidence is illegal. Witness tampering is illegal. You're going to tell me that Liz Cheney deserves to get off free and clear just because she did it for Biden and the left? Because she did it against Trump. You're going to tell me that she deserves to get off free and clear? No. If you want to stop bad behavior, you have to punish bad behavior. She committed a crime. She committed a felony. She should be held to account for what it is that she did. Liz Cheney is a criminal. I don't care if she's not been, yes, don't get me wrong. I get it. You're innocent until proven guilty. I get it. She should be tried. Evidence should be presented in a court of law. But should Biden be able to do a preemptive pardon for Liz Cheney? No. Not even a little bit. Back to the headline, Fox News. Biden's HHS secretary warns against implications of preemptive pardon. See, here's the thing. If Biden does this, if he does these preemptive pardons for Liz Cheney, for Fauci, for all the other people that he's talking about doing. I went through the list a while back ago. There's numerous people involved in this, and basically what it amounts to, everybody on the federal level that went after Trump. That's more or less what it amounts to in one way, shape, or form, and lying to the American people, and they're excuse me. They're going after prosecuting Trump for things and making up crimes. They're talking about pardoning everybody involved in this. Preemptive pardons for everybody that went out because, they're afraid that what Trump's going to do is clean house. And of which case, yes, he absolutely should clean house. You're not going to get any type of changes unless you hold these people accountable. And I'm talking about a complete wiping of these people, firing everybody involved, everybody on every single level, everybody that was complacent and silent about all of this stuff. All of them should be removed from their position, terminated immediately whenever Trump takes office. I mean, before he even leaves the podium, he should be all of you people that had a hand in all this Bravo Sierra that happened, the attacks against me and the American people. Every single one of you are fired right now, effective immediately. You know who you are. Pack your shit and get the hell out. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, period. That's what it should do. I would love to see it. Would you love to see that? I would love to see that. Absolutely. But listen, why is he saying that warning Biden of the implications? Because here's the thing. Once you go down that path, once you ring that bell, you can't unring that bell. You can't do it. Because what is Trump going to do on his way out the door if Biden is allowed to do this? If he does it and the Supreme Court supports him and backs him on this, what is going to happen? Every single administration. One, you're going to allow, the prosecution of every former and incoming president from now until kingdom come. A complete washing of anything legal. You're going to have basically legalized lawfare against your political enemies. That's what's going to happen. You're going to have preemptive pardons for every administration. Everybody in administration is going to basically legalize criminals and crime. That's what's going to happen. I mean, granted, Republicans are completely gutless. They would never actually do that. They would never use the strings of political power that the left wields. They would never use that. It's not a double-edged sword because most Republicans are gutless and they don't really care. Too many of them out there are rhinos. They all, they all drink from the same pond. They all go to the same school. They all go to the same games. Their kids go to the same school, all this other kind of stuff. They all live and work in the same places. And, you can only be, it's not very long whenever you drop whenever you drip a drop of fresh water into a cesspool, that drop does not remain pure for very long. It's now sewage like the rest of it. That's what you have in Washington, D.C. That's why 98% of the people in Washington, D.C. support liberals, support Democrats, are registered Democrats, people who vote Democrats. That's what we see in Washington. Birds of a feather flock together. A drop of fresh water does not last very long as fresh water whenever you dump it into a sewer. You're going to legalize crime. You're going to legalize being able to go after your political opponent, exiting and going into the White House. That's what's going to happen. One party is going to go after the other party, period, end of story. That's what you're going to have happen. That's what you're going to legalize. The implications of this is huge. There is a reason this has never been done in history. No other president has acted like this. No other president has tried to normalize criminality. It's never been done before. Is he even legally able to do it? I don't know. I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. Yes, I do know the answer to that question. The answer to that question is no. Biden didn't have the legal ability, the actual constitutional ability to, give a preemptive pardon to his son dating back, over a decade. He didn't have the ability to do it, but yet he did. And until it is challenged in the Supreme Court, he's going to do it again. And even still, they're going to try to do it again. That's something that something that needs to be decided sooner rather than later. But if this goes to the Supreme Court, and if the Supreme Court backs and supports what Biden has done, and this is also assuming that Biden does go ahead and do the preemptive pardons for Fauci, for Liz Cheney, for the others in there that he is talking about doing this for, protecting everybody who went after Trump for the crimes they committed. Yes, the crimes that they committed. We're never going to know. And what Trump needs to do before exiting is pardon everybody. Himself, his entire family, blanket pardons covering every single crime that they may or may have not committed, dating back to their birth. That's what Trump should do. I mean, what's the left going to do? Say, oh, no, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And you can't do that at all. This is a gross violation, an overreach of power. You can't do this. Wait a second. No. Biden did it. You can't say that Trump can't do it just because it's Trump. No. You're making this a relevant thing. You're giving Biden the power, meaning you're giving the president the power, and you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't do that. Now, granted, we both know that that's the way they're going to do it. We both know that's the game they're going to play. I mean, isn't that the way the left operates as it is anyway? That they do things and they say that, oh, no, you can't do it. And we'll talk about this here in a minute, but with the fires going on in L.A., the left can politicize anything and everything, and they do all the time. But whenever there's something going on that looks very bad on Democrats, that is gross negligence, and their policies have they contributed to the tragedies going on. They're saying, oh, no, you shouldn't politicize this. You can't do that. I mean, people are, hurting. Lives have been ruined. You can't politicize this. Wait a second. If the roles were reversed, you would be doing it. You can't tell me that I can't politicize something whenever yesterday you politicized something. You can't do that. But that's what they do. And time again, what we have happen is those on the right, Republicans, just accept the narrative that the left wants to perpetuate, and they bow down and bend over, and there you go. That's what we have happen. This is why Trump is such a breath of fresh air, because he doesn't allow the Bravo Sierra, and he calls out the Bravo Sierra whenever he sees it. That's one thing I like about, shit. Crap. Hold on. Give me a second. I'll see it. I'll find it. Hold on. Okay, here's the Vance. There we go. Good grief, man. Sometimes my brain don't brain. And that was a clear example of my brain not braining. Sometimes that happens. The brain just don't brain anymore. Wow. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. I think I've, given you enough on that one, and there you go. When I return, we are going to be talking about the fire that is going on in LA. We're going to be talking about just the gross incompetence of the left. I mean, do you really want the left to be in control of everything from coast to coast? Because what's going on right now in California would be going on everywhere if this is what we allowed to happen. So just a couple minutes and I will be right back.
Sunday morning in my best Sunday clothes, sat down quietly in the second row close. Pastor preached on peace, love and grace, then a loud noise echoed, turning every face. Ooh, sometimes the Spirit just moves you, turning solemn moments into quite the view. Heads turn round and whispers abound. When you let one rip in a church, it's quite profound. Sister Mary shot a glare like a fiery dart.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afford this car.
Mrs. Jenkins nearly lost
Okay, you
her
ready?
heart.
All right.
Deacon Jones chuckled, tried to keep his poise as the church was filled with less than holy noise. Ooh, sometimes the Spirit just moves you, turning solemn moments into quite the view. Heads turn round and whispers abound. When you let one rip in a church, it's quite profound. Father Tim wiped his glasses, gave a resigned sigh. You could see the laughter twinkle in his eye. The choir held strong, their notes never slipped, even though the congregation was having fits. Next Sunday came with a silent prayer. I hope this week's service is less of a flare. But come the halfway mark, wouldn't you know, the Holy Spirit struck once more, putting on a show. this week's service is less of a flare. But come the halfway mark, wouldn't you know, the Holy Spirit struck once more, putting on a show. Sunday came with a silent prayer. I hope this week's service is less of a flare. But come the halfway mark, wouldn't you know, the Holy Spirit struck once more, putting on a show.
Do you work at any of the myriad of jobs where you might have to sit on your bum all day? Well, if so, maybe you know what it's like to suffer from the condition known as swamp ass. Well, if so, have I got the solution for you.
Anti-monkey butt powder.
That's right.
Anti-monkey butt powder.
You can use it indoors, outdoors, work or play, or on any occasion when you sit on your bum all day. Don't let your buns get red. Use anti-monkey butt powder instead. Available wherever anti-friction powder is sold. All right, and we are back. This segment, we're going to be talking about the LA fires, and y'all know how I like to start the show, even though we're an hour and a half into this, but I like to start it off with some satire. I like to start it off with a little bit of ha-ha. I didn't do it this time, but my go-to place for satire news is the Babylon Bee. This headline, problem solved. Newsom announces plan to make fire illegal. I seen this and I had to laugh reading this article. Governor Gavin Newsom neatly addressed California's wildfire problem earlier today by announcing the fire will finally be outlawed in California. The article continues, very ridiculous, because, okay, now look, all right, what's going on in LA is a tragedy, pure and simple. People are losing everything. Their homes, tens of thousands of people displaced, having to evacuate because of these fires. People have lost everything. It is a tragedy. And the fire still continues. There's like, 5 different wildfires going on right now? And they've even come out and said that it's like 0% contained right now. But even though this is a tragedy, an ongoing tragedy, and my heart goes out to the victims, that goes without saying, but you can still call out Bravo Sierra whenever you see it. You can still call them out. Because the fact of the matter is, this tragedy wasn't just predictable. It was preventable. This headline from Mashable, there we go. Mashable. Oh, no. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one either. Not that one. Where did the article go? Holy crap. I don't know. I don't know where that one went. Let's see. Satellite images. Here we go. The LA apocalypse was entirely predictable. This is from the American Prospect. Yeah. It was entirely predictable, but it wasn't just predictable, it was preventable. You know, other countries has laughed at America, at California, on how they handle forestry. And you have, towns, houses, property that goes right up next to the forest. There's a lot of forest in California. California really is a very gorgeous state. It really is. It's a beautiful state. But for the past 40 years, you couldn't do any maintenance to the woodson at all. You can't go in there and clean out the debris. You can't go in there and clean up, clean up the leaves, clean up the downed trees. You can't do any of that kind of crap. You can't go in there, do any type of preventative maintenance to help not eliminate, but alleviate, to lower the risk of wildfire, because all that debris, all those leaves, all that stuff in the bed of those forests, it's all tinder. It's a tragedy waiting to happen. And over the past 40 years, put near my entire life, they've not been able to do anything to help alleviate, to help make it less of an issue. They've not been able to do jack diddly or squat. It's just a fact of the matter. So yeah, this whole thing was definitely preventable. And going back to this article from Mashable, the one that I didn't even throw out there, take a look at this picture. For those of you that are, listening over there in the various places that the podcast can be found, and speaking of which, let me okay, very good. Wow, sorry about that. So this is like, wow. This is a satellite view, and again, this article is from Mashable. Satellite images of the destruction, and this isn't even all of it. It's not. I mean, this satellite image gives it's looks to be thermal imagery. And these fires are in these residential areas and homes, and it's like, wow. Again, I can't even imagine what it's like over there. And I've searched pictures about the LA fires. And I mean, I could fill this entire show with image after image after image of the destruction caused by this. And we've been hearing a lot of different things, haven't we? A lot of different things about the governor's, where the governor was at, about the mayor's role in different policies. I mean, we've been hearing a lot about things that most definitely has contributed to the damage, to the destruction. I mean, firefighters who were just unable to do anything, because the fact of the matter is, what they are more concerned about is that the mission statement of the fire department, as in to protect people from fires and actually be a firefighter, but they care more about the woke agenda than anything else. And that's what we have seen. That's what we have seen play out. It's ridiculous that a firefighter is standing there with literally his thumb, well, I mean, not literally, but figuratively, his thumb up his butt because they can't do anything because there's no water pressure in the fire hydrant. And from what firefighters have said, that this happens all too often. That they hook up to a hydrant and there's just no pressure. Can't do anything. You can't fight a fire without water pressure in the fire hydrant. I mean, that's the entire purpose of a fire hydrant, right? To have water pressure there. To make it to where they can just fight a fire, but they can't. Ridiculous. And it's been reported on that, you know, one of the reasons regarding this is because of California's policies whenever it comes to reservoirs, making new reservoirs. I mean, this is something that, you know, this isn't new. Okay, this type of thing, this isn't new. I mean, there was fires a while back ago. You know, and Trump talked about this on the Joe Rogan Experience, that even like immediately after the last wildfires that they had, you know, whenever Trump was in office, that he basically fixed the problem. Oh man, I'm getting tired of this cough. But you know, the president basically fixed the problem. He made policy changes and, you know, basically put it on Newsom's desk to where all he had to do was sign it, and he refused. Refused to sign it. Refused to do anything to actually alleviate the problem. Again, this isn't something that's new. These are policies that have been in place for quite some time. They knew it was an issue. It's been an issue in the past, and here we are again, saying the same thing. Seeing the same tragedy happen because the Democrats, the liberals, refuse to learn from the past. The only thing that they care about is power and control, and they don't want to relinquish anything. All they want to do is come up with solutions to problems they create. That's what the left is good at. Making problems. And then trying to tell you that the only people that can fix the problems they create is them. This wasn't just predictable. It was preventable. It happened already. When Trump was in office, what did California do to solve the problem? Well, it's pretty clear, isn't it? They did nothing. They're more concerned with woke. They're more concerned with the Green New Deal. They're more concerned with DEI. They don't care about actually solving the problem. They don't care. This is apparently what happens whenever you put the left in charge. Now, here's the thing. Granted, my heart goes out to the victims. My heart goes out to these people. I've never been in a fire. I mean, I've started some fires, you know, in fireplaces, fire pits, fire, you know, I've done that. But I've never been victim of a fire. I've never found myself in the area of a wildfire. I have no idea the toll that it would take to lose absolutely everything. I mean, granted, where I'm from, we live in, Tornado Alley. Yeah, we have tornadoes. That's done some huge amounts of destruction. But I've not been a victim of that. I can't even imagine what they're going through. But I see this satellite image and it's like, wow. The devastation is unreal. The size and scope is unreal. this is, holy crap, not just predictable, but preventable. Their policies caused it last time. Not being able to clean up the debris, making it to where they can't have water in the reservoirs, to where, the water pressure isn't there in the fire hydrants, making it to where, firing the firefighters and bringing about an age of woke in something and making that their top and first priority, whenever the top priority of a firehouse should be protecting the citizens from fire. Oh no. Their first priority is woke and DEI. I seen this article from this article from the Daily Signal. Hold on a second. I got a frog in my throat. This is ridiculous. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I've been drinking and drinking and drinking. Can't seem to get rid of it. And it's getting tickle like right there. It's a tickle. Oh, good grief. Okay. Anyway, continuing on. This article from the Daily Signal. Let me get into it. LA's disastrous response to wildfires is latest consequence of California's obsession with DEI, because of what they did. They're saying that the whole, their whole outlook is DEI. It's about being, one of the things I heard, and this was laughable. It really was. Okay. Let me ask you a question. If you're involved in a fire, okay, do you care what color the firefighter is that rescues you from a burning home? Do you care the gender of the firefighter? Do you care about, any DEI crap, or do you want the fire to be put out? Do you want to be rescued from the flames? Which is it that means more to you? I'm just kind of curious. I don't know about you. But me, I don't care. I don't care the sex. I don't care the religion. I don't care the gender. I don't care, what sexual orientation they are, what they prefer. I don't care. I don't care color, creed, gender, sexual orientation. None of that matters. When my life is on the line, all I care about, are you going to put out the fire or not? If I am knocked unconscious, can you get my body out of the burning home? Can you save my life? That's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. When your life is on the line, the last thing you care about is anything woke. And the last thing you want is DEI, because you don't want the DEI hire in there that goes into the burning building, goes, whoa, holy crap, I don't want anything to do with this, and they leave. I don't want somebody in charge of the firefighters that says, if you're down in a place where a fire is, and you can't get out, well, you put yourself in that situation, you can get yourself back out of that situation. You shouldn't be there in the first place. That's what they're saying right now. How ridiculous is that? That who cares if somebody on the fire department is a woman that can't lift you out of that burning home, that doesn't have anybody there that can lift you out of that burning home. You put yourself in that situation, you can get yourself out of that situation. You shouldn't be there in the first place. If I can't save your life, then your life doesn't need to be spared. That's what they said. Yes, as ridiculous as that sounds, that's what they said. I heard this in an interview. How ridiculous is that? It's about woke. It's about DEI. Who cares? When your life is on the line, the last thing you care about is race, gender, sexual orientation, anything. You want to know that the person that walks into that burning building can save your life if your life needs to be saved. They care about water being in the hydrant that they can actually pump out of it and put the fire out. They can protect other homes from being victim of that fire. That can save as much of your property as possible in the course of putting out the fire. That's what people want. That's what people care about. That is the purpose of a fire department. Now look, where I'm at, I know several people whom are members of the fire department, whom are, volunteer firefighters. I know several of them. And dude, I tell you what, I respect firefighters like you wouldn't believe, it's actually absolutely ridiculous because, I did a salary comparison between cops and firefighters. And in most every jurisdiction, firefighters make twice the money that police officers do in the same jurisdiction. Now, don't get me wrong. I commend what firefighters do. I really do. Whenever they go into a burning building, they're putting their life on the line. I get it. I really do. Cops, I think, should be making a lot more than what they do in comparison because, they're putting their life on the line every time they put the uniform on. But, I get it. They make money. They make a lot of it, rightfully so. And like I said, I've known many firefighters. I worked with one who was a volunteer firefighter, and dude, I will never forget what this kid did. I mean, he was, younger than me by a few years. I don't even know how old he was. I don't remember, and it doesn't matter. But the kid was smaller than me. He was, look, guys, I'm not a small flower by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a big guy. All right. I'm a big guy. I'm fluffy. All right. I'm fluffy. This kid picked me up and just took off. Fireman picked me up and just took off running down an aisle. It's like, dude, this was impressive. Yeah, picked me up and just took off running. I was like, wow, that's who I want as a firefighter. That right there. Somebody who's strong enough, who's stout enough, who was able to do the job and save a life. That's what we should be focused on, not woke. Woke does nothing more than get people killed. That's what we're seeing right now play out. So yeah, they should have cleaned out the floor of the forests. That's what they should have done. Cleaned it out. Got rid of the debris. Got rid of the crap. Maintaining the forest does a lot to make wildfires more manageable, more controllable, and less likely to happen. They failed. They let the reservoirs run dry, making it to where firefighters can't even hook up to a hydrant and put out a fire. Their policies forced out many firefighters that were capable of doing the job, and their obsession with DEI made it to where they hired people whom were unable to do the job, whom had a mindset that if you got yourself into trouble, you can get yourself back out of trouble. Don't expect us to go in there, pick your ass up, and save your life. That's not as important as DEI. And are any of these people going to be held to account? Are they? One of the things that we're hearing is that, we shouldn't be calling out California for these policies. We shouldn't be doing it. We shouldn't be, the disaster is still going on. We shouldn't be calling them out. We shouldn't be demonizing Democrats for their policies that may or may not have contributed, we shouldn't be doing that. That's wrong to do that. That's what we keep hearing. We are being demonized for calling Democrats out on the Bravo Sierra. This headline from the Daily Signal, and I've never heard more truth. But this headline from the Daily Signal, DeSantis tells media point blank, Newsom would have been nailed to the wall over wildfires if he was Republican. Don't believe me? I mean, dude, DeSantis, even though he did everything he could, even though his response was great, it was amazing. The man deserves all the kudos in the world for his handling of the disaster in Florida with the hurricane. They've still tried to crucify him over his handling of it. Even though he did everything right, everything in his power, everything he could do, he did it right. His response was amazing. They still tried to, demonize him for how he handled it. Because he's Republican. If Newsom was Republican, damn good and well, they would have politicized it right off the gate. Right as the fires were happening, right as they got started, they would be politicizing it and demonizing Newsom if he was Republican. That's how the left operates. That's how they have operated for years. They politicize anything and everything, but now, considering the tables have turned, they say, oh, you can't politicize this because, we're the ones that were in charge of everything. They were the ones who were in charge of everything. If you think your government isn't doing a good enough of a job, who do you blame? Well, I mean, yeah, you should blame yourself because you're the one who voted these people into office, but, don't let them get away with this scot-free because, they will. We all know that they will. This isn't the first time tragedy has struck in the exact same manner. It maybe not has been as bad as what it is now, but it definitely happened for the same reason. Or at least a lot of the same reasons. Is anything going to happen? No. I don't remember who it was I heard say it. I don't remember if it was, excuse me. I don't remember if it was Matt Locke of Voice of the Working Man podcast, or if it was Dan Bongino, the Dan Bongino Show. I don't remember which, but what he said was, you don't hate your government enough. And he's absolutely right. You don't hate your government enough. Government is not your friend. The federal government has basically two jobs: to protect your freedom and to defend the borders against invasion, close the border down. That's their job. What do we see come out of Washington? Open borders, refusal to enforce federal law, and they try every which way they think they could possibly get away with it to restrict your freedom. I mean, guys, the Second Amendment is clear. Okay, let me. I've read it in the past. Let's do it again. Let's go in here. I got to find it. The Second Amendment. Man, this frog in my throat's really agitating me. Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Pretty stinking clear. It's pretty short. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand what it is that the Second Amendment is saying. But yet, they ignore the shall not be infringed. They ignore the Constitution. The Constitution gets in the way of them doing what they want to do. The Constitution is their enemy. When it supports what they want to do, then they're all about it. When it gets in the way of them doing what it is they want to do, then they're completely against it. And they try every which way they can to subvert, to go around, to just flat ignore the Constitution. They don't care about freedom. All they care about is power. That's it. There's several more articles I have on the subject. I've got this article from the American Prospect. The LA apocalypse was entirely predictable. I think I've mentioned that already, actually. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. This headline from TNR, compare and contrast Los Angeles fire damage versus Green New Deal cost. You know, I got several different articles in here. And of which case, if you do want to check out the articles that I used in the show, you can head on over to the HoHoShow.com. Just click on that newsfeed tab, which really isn't a newsfeed tab anymore. I've done a lot of work on the website, and I'm actually about ready to do some more work on it. But by going over to the HoHoShow.com, there's the tab underneath the HoHo Show. Just go down to Newsfeed, and there you will see my magazine on Flipboard, which is my go-to hub, my one-stop shop for anything, everything, and all things news. I've been using Flipboard for quite a while. I like it. It allows me to pull in articles from various sources, not just things that I see native to or that Flipboard brings in. It allows me to do all kinds of stuff. I really am a fan of Flipboard. The only thing about Flipboard I don't like is in order to view a magazine, you got to log in. You got to create an account. That's the only thing I don't like about them. I really do wish it allowed anonymity of people that are viewing the site, but that's the only thing I have against them. Other than that, dude, I like how they operate. I really do. A good source of news and information. It really is. That is flipboard.com. But head on over to the HoHoShow.com news feed. You'll see the magazine on Flipboard. Check out every single article that I use out on the show. Fact check me. There you go. All right, guys, that is all I got for you today. That is it. Y'all just have yourself a great one, and I will see you in the next one. This has been The HoHo Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.